On July 8th, 2019, I checked myself into treatment. I was terrified. I was ashamed. I was exhausted by being me. I was also ready to be honest, ready to fight for myself, ready to remember who I was.
So today is day 1. I only cried 247 times. Everyone has been so kind and so welcoming. I know I'm supposed to be here. Still really nervous. My blood pressure is really high. I think it's because I'm really anxious and really nervous, and I've done nothing to control my anxiety over the past couple of years except for drink wine. So, here's to falling apart and piecing myself back together.
When we speak the truth of what we've lived, we offer others a way through. We shine light into the places we once kept hidden. We say, me too, before the other person has to ask. And this is Hope Comes to Visit, where we show up fully, bravely, and without pretense. I'm Danielle Elliott Smith. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful you're taking the time to sit with me on this one. This is a vulnerable one. It's not easy to talk about, but honestly, it was even harder to live through. I believe in the power of telling the truth, especially the messy, brave, complicated kind. The first time I opened up about this, my stomach was a ball of nerves. My fingers were shaking, and it felt as a little bit like I was turning my soul inside out. I'd say that's hyperbolic, but in many ways it isn't, because what I was sharing then and preparing to share with you now are things I lied to myself about for a very long time. So maybe you can imagine that sharing them with you like this is vulnerable in a special way. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something deeply personal. I'm going to talk to you about alcoholism, not the dictionary version, the lived version, my version. Here's the thing, friends. I'm here to tell you, when you become skilled at lying to yourself each day, when you can look at yourself in the mirror, wide-eyed and serious, and calmly convince you that you don't have a problem, exposing yourself to the world in detail like this feels like turning yourself inside out. This isn't a PSA, and it's not going to be a lecture, and it isn't going to be a rehashing of my glory days and how much I can drink. It's a love letter to anyone wondering if they're okay. It's me putting my hand on the shoulder of anyone quietly Googling, why can't I stop drinking, as I did so many years ago. It's for the woman hiding wine bottles in the closets and the guy tucking shots of Fireball under the seat of his car. For the high-functioning mother who wakes up in a panic at 3 a.m. trying to reconstruct time she just can't remember. It's for the guy or girl who doesn't feel like themselves anymore, but still doesn't quite know how to stop. It's for anyone who has promised someone they love last night was the last time, only to find themselves negotiating just one the next day. Because, friends, I know these people. I know him, I know her. They're all me. And if you recognize yourself in any of what I just said, I want you to know you're not broken, you're not weak, and you're most definitely not alone. I grew up with alcohol as a problem in my home, and because of that, I was 110% sure it was never going to be a problem for me. Not ever. Best laid plans, right? The thing was, for years, alcohol wasn't a problem for me. I was what many people refer to as a normal drinker. I could have a glass or two of wine on a Friday or Saturday night and walk away. But in my mid-40s, as my inner perfectionist started to falter, as long-time trauma started to surface, I could no longer hide the cracks in the foundation of my world. I fell into the familiar, someone just pour me a glass of wine. I've had a long week, a hard day. I deserve it. I need to relax. I began to treat alcohol as a form of self-care. You know what I mean, right? If I was to ask on Facebook, I've had a rotten day. What should I do to relax? It would take mere seconds for someone to suggest, pour yourself a glass of wine, hop in the bubble bath. But you and I both know alcohol is not self-care. Despite this, for a long time, I did not believe I had a problem. I was doing well, running my own business. I was raising kids, my career. I laughed, I smiled, I functioned. But inside, I was slowly unraveling. I was falling apart and hiding in plain sight. However, the mom wine culture was just taking off. At the time, I was a proud member of the Rose All Day Club. So every t-shirt, every mug that whispered, "Shh, this isn't coffee," every mom and mimosa event, well, it validated that I was just part of a growing and clearly happy, caring for ourselves, caring community. So when my family started to ask, did I always need to have 3 glasses of wine? Well, I reminded them I was a damn adult and I was well past 21. But I became self-conscious, so I started to hide it. And fun fact, the more you hide it, the more you drink. Surely I couldn't have a real problem though, right? That's what I kept telling myself. Real alcoholics need to drink every day and in the morning. They lose jobs and families. They live under bridges. They drink $2 whiskey out of a brown paper bag, right? At least that was the textbook version of alcoholic as far as I was concerned. And me, well, I didn't drink every day. At least not at first. I didn't drink in the morning. I wasn't homeless. I had a job, and so far I never had a DUI. But these were all simply things that had not happened to me yet. Here's the truth. My problem wasn't that I couldn't not drink. It was that once I started, I couldn't stop. And I became really, really good at lying to myself. Pouring 2 glasses of wine, but calling it 1. Buying tiny bottles or screw tops so they were easier to hide. Drinking in secret before events so I'd seem normal. Watching what everyone else was doing and matching them. Waking up night after night in the 3 a.m. hour, my witching hour, in a cold panic, trying desperately to piece together missing hours, wondering why I just couldn't stop. At one point I Googled, why can't I stop? And Google populated drinking for me as the #1 search. At that moment, I had the option to recognize this for the red flag that it was. But I was so afraid to stop. I instead did the mental gymnastics that allowed me to conclude, wow, it's such a common thing and therefore not a big deal because clearly it's happening to everyone. I'll always wonder what would have happened if I had seen that for the warning it was and started to make changes. I reached a point where I no longer recognized myself. At one of my very lowest moments, I was so desperate to numb, to feel the alcohol remove the pain that I couldn't face. I found myself reaching for the only thing I could find one morning. Warm, leftover wine from the night before, sitting in a red Solo cup. I locked myself in the bathroom and I slammed it. And as you can imagine, I gagged. Somehow I had moved from being someone who only drank really good wine in beautiful glasses, savoring it slowly, to this, a disheveled, middle-aged woman slamming warm, cheap, leftover wine from a red Solo cup just to feel something and nothing. But still, I somehow wasn't ready to stop. It was simply too terrifying. That's the grip of addiction. It doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how hard you try. It doesn't care how many times you promise you'll stop or who wants you to stop. It's not about willpower. It's not about looking in the mirror. It's about looking in the mirror and deciding that you no longer want to live this way. There's a very thin line between I don't want to live and I don't want to live like this. I know because, like many who've struggled this way, I crawled my way along it. Alcohol is a depressant. The more you drink, the more likely you are to say things like, I just can't do this anymore. Or I just don't want to live like this anymore. But what we really do not want is this version of ourselves, the one who just can't seem to stop. I've always been someone who could do anything I set my mind to doing, simply by making a plan and working hard. I could do it alone, except this. For this, I needed help. Asking for help was truly one of the most brutally challenging and humbling experiences of my life, but it was also the wisest. After a particularly rough night, my now ex-husband, still a very good friend of mine, looked at me and said, "Kid, I'm not even mad at you anymore. I'm worried about the mother of my children." And up to this point, he had been mad. He didn't understand the drinking, my inability to stop, what seemed to him to be my unwillingness to stop. But he learned that wasn't the case. He said, "Dee, you're sick. You are not okay and you need help. I have found a place where you can go and they will help you to work on all of it, physically and mentally. You don't have to go. I can't and won't make you, but I will tell you this. If you choose not to go, I'll take the kids and I'm going to go to my parents." That same day, there was a text between my kids that said, "Too bad mom loves wine more than she loves us." It was a true gut punch. One of the most painful days of my life. The good news is those kids now know that wasn't true then or now. But those two moments were what I needed to recognize I wanted to know me again. And that meant getting help. On July 8th, 2019, I checked myself into treatment. I was terrified. I was ashamed. I was exhausted by being me. But I was also ready to be honest, ready to fight for myself, ready to remember who I was. I didn't think I could live without wine, but it turns out I couldn't live with it. A few days into treatment, I found myself mad, angry that I would never have champagne again, never toast when my kids got married, never head to a winery or have a mimosa again. How come I couldn't be one of the ladies who brunched? So I forced myself to sit down and make a list of all the things I would never get to do again because I wasn't drinking. And I also made a list of all the things that would never happen to me again because I wasn't drinking. I would never wake up at 3 a.m. and wonder what I had said or done and who I needed to apologize to. And I would never wonder if I drove or if I paid my bill or if I had my ID. I would never lie to myself or my kids. I was never in danger of getting a DUI. And you know what? The list of things that would never happen to me was so much longer. So I started counting days, and every single one of them mattered. I've now gone over 2,200 days without drinking, and I've earned every damn one of them. At the time that I left treatment, I wasn't sure if I would ever drink again. I wasn't willing to promise anyone anything. I truly was living one day at a time. The idea of never again was initially too daunting for me to swallow. Today, I know my life is one that is best lived without alcohol. I can do what's called playing the tape forward. I may be able to have a glass of wine now and stop, but within a week or two, my brain would tell me I could do it again and again, and yet I wouldn't want to tell my kids. They deserve to know this version of me without worrying if that one would reappear. If I started dabbling again, I'd jeopardize my honesty and my relationships. It's not worth it. Sober, I get to be awake, present, free. My mind is no longer consumed with thinking about alcohol, where to get it, how to get more, how to get things done before I start drinking, and how to hide it once I started. And what I've learned through recovery and coaching is that sobriety isn't one size fits all. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about knowing yourself so deeply that you no longer need to escape your life to survive it. And this is what I get to tell my kids. Whether you're 18 or 26, whether you're 45 or 74 years old, if you're ever asking yourself, am I drinking too much? The answer is always yes. It's your system's way of watching out for you, of protecting you. We get warnings like this when we're shopping too often, staying up too late, eating too much junk, or not getting enough exercise. We need to listen to ourselves. Choosing not to do so could mean you end up on a path like mine and needing to ask for help. This is what I know about sobriety. There is more than one way to achieve it. When I went to treatment, I was obsessed with the idea of relapse. Since there is such a high rate of recidivism of people who relapse or who need to return to treatment a second, a third, or a fourth time, I wanted to know why. I listened diligently to every story of relapse, and they all have two things in common. The first, I've got this. The feeling that you're doing it, that you've got it handled or all figured out. And the second, because you've got this, you stop doing whatever it is that's working for you. For some, that's meditation or prayer. For some, it's 12 steps and meetings. For some, it's exercise or calling a friend. The important thing is, whatever works for you, that's what you have to continue to do. This is how I've started to work with people, through redefining sober. Redefining sober is about curiosity instead of shame, compassion instead of judgment, asking better questions instead of hiding behind excuses, and consistency that works for you instead of a plan that belongs to someone else. If you're wondering if alcohol is getting in the way of your peace, your joy, your light, I want you to know that your questions are enough. You don't need to crash to climb. You don't need to hit bottom to rise. You just need to begin. Sobriety has given me everything alcohol promised me and then some. My laughter is real now. I worried if I'd ever be fun again. My children trust me again. I have a beautiful relationship with them. I'm a woman who keeps her promises. I sleep through the night, no longer needing alcohol to sleep. I now understand it was disrupting my slumber. I wake up proud and grateful, and I remember the day and the night before. I don't chase being sparkly anymore. I get to be the sparkle. Sobriety gave me back. And with it came beauty and light and a faith that I thought was lost forever. Maybe you don't know this, but one of the many things I'm grateful to do is work with people who want to change their relationship with alcohol. I started to do this because I wanted to provide what I needed, but couldn't find when I was wanting to stop drinking, someone who did more than simply tell me to stop. Once I knew how to walk this path, I couldn't help but reach back and walk it with someone else, especially as I know how to do it without judgment or cruelty. I work with women who are just starting to question their relationship with alcohol, women who are ready to stop but don't know how, and women who are already sober but wanting more joy and connection. I don't offer shame. I offer a hand. I offer stories, and I offer space. If you're listening to this and thinking, maybe I need to look at my own story, that's enough. That's more than enough. This isn't about labels. It's about freedom. It's about life. It's about love. So if you're feeling stuck, know this. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're not too far gone. You are already on the right path just by asking the question. And I'll be right here to walk with you, one day at a time, with compassion, with community, and with deep, deep hope. My name is Danielle. I'm redefining sober every day, and I'm more me now than I have ever been. There is power in being witnessed, in naming the hard things, in knowing someone else made it through. Thank you for listening to Hope Comes to Visit. I'm Danielle Elliott-Smith. I'm so grateful you're here. If any part of this episode resonated with you, or if you think it may resonate with someone you know, please do share it. I so look forward to seeing you back here again for our next episode. In the meantime, take care of you.